Hey, welcome back to the shop. Time for another weekly update. So I haven't been too busy this week, but I have gotten a couple videos out. I did the challenge tree contest that Dominic Bender set up, and I made this ugly birdhouse. The main thing was I was trying to do I've never done off-axis turning, and so I just wanted to try it out for this stem part. I made this little mini birdhouse, added a little bit of Alumilite to the top, a little bit. This was just left over that I left in a cup, and so I didn't put it in a pressure pot, so it's got a lot of air holes in it, but that was a fun project, even though it's pretty ugly. So did that. I also did the PVC casting video. So just getting into casting, PVC is by far the easiest way to get into it, you know, and PVC works with epoxy, polyester resin, or Alumilite. Alumilite's a little bit of a different animal, so I covered some of the specifics dealing with Alumilite with PVC and some basic techniques of how to kind of swirl the colors. So if you want to check that out, I'll have a link to that video. Also this week, I've been kind of working on my videos. I'm not super excited about how long it takes me to get videos done, and generally I want to improve the quality of them. So I've been kind of working a little bit more closely with, you know, what am I doing when, you know, with the equipment. I don't plan any of my videos really, and that's something that I'm still not doing. But I want to start getting into that. But I need practice, just trying to get better shots and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be working on that for the next month or so, probably trying to just get the camera work and the videos produced a little bit easier, and hopefully I can get on a little bit more of a regular schedule. So that's what I've been kind of doing this week. I turned a couple pins, and I'll probably just put a couple photos at the end of the things that I've made so you can kind of watch that. Coming up, I'm going to be doing the video, you know, kind of covering that new pressure pot that I got, and the other one is, and I'm actually editing this, I also made a video on how to make these melamine molds. I got a lot of questions about, you know, what do I use, what is the melamine that I'm using and stuff like that, and a few people had a little bit of difficulty putting them together, so I just did kind of a step-by-step how I do it. There are a couple little tricks that I found. I've made probably about 20 of these things now, so a couple little tips and tricks, but they're fairly easy to do. I just kind of cover the steps that I take, and I kind of have a good system at this point. So covered that. That'll be coming up. Now, one thing that is interesting that's coming up, this actually just occurred today. My dad has a 56 Buick, and he needs to put a riser under the carburetor. He's having, I don't know, some problem with it, and he needs a riser, and he's asking me to look up phenolic plastic, because I guess that's what they make these risers out of. And I looked for it a little bit, and I said, well, what are you doing with this, and what are the temperatures, what are the parameters that need to work with this? And I said, well, why don't we just cast Alumilite instead of buying a piece of phenolic? I don't see what the difference is. So I'm not advocating doing this. I don't know how this is all going to work, but I don't think that there's a whole lot of difference between polyurethane resin and phenolic, really. So it's a 2-barrel carburetor, and I'm going to cast, well, his car is actually red and white. I'll probably try and throw up a couple pictures of that. He's red and white Buick, and he's restoring it, and it's kind of coming together. He needs to get this riser on and then get the engine in, but red and white, so I'm actually going to color match this riser to his car and make it out of Alumilite. So that should be really fun. That's an interesting, it ain't a turning blank, I'll tell you that. But it'll be easy. It's just a little 3/8, pretty much rectangular piece, so it'll, you know, fit this. This is the gasket underneath it, so it just needs to be this size about, and then 3/8. So that should be kind of cool. I'll definitely videotape that, and it's probably going to be a while before we find out if it actually works, because he's still putting the car together, but hopefully soon. So that's kind of fun. I don't know. One other thing that happened this week, and I've actually been working on this, but I just wanted to kind of share a little bit of a tip for pen makers out there. One of the problems that I have is when you do a CA glue finish, a lot of times, you know, it sticks to the bushings. That's fine, but when you take them apart, a lot of times you get the CA glue finish stuff that's kind of hanging over the end. And, you know, if you tried assembling the pen and it's not, and you have any finish that's hanging over the edge of the pen. So kind of, you know, anything beyond the edge of it, you start pressing things together and it peels back your finish. It's pressing the finish back. So I haven't had too much of a problem with that necessarily because I take care of it. But so far what I've been doing is taking a piece of sandpaper, putting it on a flat surface, and then just literally pushing the pen down. And that's fine. It works all right. But if you have a lot of finish to take off, you could introduce, you know, off squareness to the blank. And I don't like that. So I kind of came up with a little bit of a system, and it took me a little while. This is just a pen mandrel. This is actually off the Shopsmith that I used to use. And you have, you know, a reference bar that, you know, it fits your slimline pens. It's the 7mm normal mandrel. At the end, that's got to be pretty square on most of these pen mandrels. And I was thinking if you could just get some sandpaper on the end, you could just, you know, take off that little extra finish by just doing, you know, this kind of a deal. Well, that works great for slimlines, but you run into issues on bigger pens because, you know, obviously first they don't fit, but even if you put the bushings on, you got a bushing. You know, the bushing is going to be in front of it, so you couldn't sand it. You could get that bushing, take that one off, but then it's still just not really referencing that well. Well, I didn't totally realize it, but they actually sell like spacer blocks that go with, they actually go with the pen or the barrel trimmers. So rather than getting a different shank piece, you can just put a sleeve over it, and that'll fit different size. You know, you can get them, I think, I'm hoping, for just about every type of pen tube that you can get. So using that, you can just slide that down, put some sandpaper on the end, and you know, twist your pen, get your finish off. So it's a pretty cool thing. And now the other innovation, I've actually been doing that for a while, but I was using the sticky back sandpaper, but it would just clog up really quick. So what I came up with now is I just take a strip of what is this, Abranet, the Mirka, you know, the screen sandpaper, and this is actually what I use for, you know, my pen turning. But you just take a hole punch a hole in it, and slide it over. That pretty much fits perfectly on a 7mm, you know, pen mandrel. Slide it over, and then you got sandpaper to take off that edge. So it may not be the best, perfect, most perfect way, and I know that there's people that have setups on their lathe where you put the mandrel in the tailstock and have something like a sanding disc. My issue is, unless I get a metal one that's been machined dead flat, you know, and square to the taper or whatever I'm doing, I just don't think it's going to be that much more accurate doing it with wood. So I kind of like this idea. It's pretty fun. Gets the stuff done, and then you move on. And then what I actually do also, I take it one step further. I just grab a piece of 1000 grit sandpaper and just kind of cut over the edge just to make sure that there's nothing that's going to peel back that finish, because that's the worst. Is pen's totally done, it's perfect, and then you put it together and it cracks the finish and you're just sunk. So I always try to take as many steps as possible to avoid that kind of an issue. So I hope that's kind of helpful. You don't have to have a Shopsmith one. You know, this is a normal pen mandrel with just the Morse taper. Same deal, you know. Just slide some sandpaper over that. And I think, you know, this stuff has some thickness to it. And I'm not gluing it on or doing anything like that, but I think by the pressure, it should be registering pretty much flat. I don't think you're going to introduce, you know, start cutting it off square or anything. So hope that helps. Other than that, I think that's about it. I've got a couple videos, like I said, coming up. One other thing that I want to be working on soon, and this is less about getting a video out. I use the Easy Wood tools for, you know, turning. I have one of them. I just wanted to try it, and I do like it, but I've never used the circle cutter, you know, carbide type tool, and I wanted. Those are good for shaping, and I could use it for bowls and stuff. So the problem is I don't want to spend $130 on one of these tools. Frankly, it's a piece of wood, it's a piece of, you know, not special metal, and then a carbide cutter, you know, drilled and tapped with a screw, screwed onto the end. Those are easy to make. I've seen a bunch of videos. There's a lot of really good videos on YouTube on how to make these. So I bought some bar stock, and, you know, comparing $130 for an Easy Wood Tools type of tool. You know, the metal bar stock I paid, I think it was about $2 to $3 per foot for this stuff. So you're looking at $3. The wood, you got it if you're a turner, and you should be able to turn that. You need to make a ferrule. You can use copper pipe. That shouldn't cost anything. And then, you know, you have to buy carbide cutters, but you have to buy those anyway. So, and I buy mine from Captain Eddie. There's other places, you know, the helical cutters on planers and joiners. You know, people sell these things. There's companies that sell them, so you can pick them up for a lot cheaper than $15 a piece from Easy Wood Tools. So be on the lookout for that. But you can make it for less than 30 bucks, basically. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do a video. I'm not going to do a big how-to necessarily, just the steps I take, because there's really a lot better videos probably out there that really cover it. And when I do the video, I'll probably link to those videos too, what I use to do it. So other than that, I think that's about it. Not a whole lot. I didn't do a lot of casting this week. I think I was a little burnt out after that big project. I actually should probably mention that. So far, I don't know if I'm getting burned yet or not. It doesn't appear to be, but it is held up in customs, so I'll have more updates on that later. But looking good. So if you have any comments or questions, definitely leave them below on YouTube. You can email me at zach@nvwoodworks.com. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. The next video should be the melamine molds.